Like, we've had some great ones today, but the adaptations from EDG to come back in what looked like an unwinnable position, and then the way that Snake closed it out, the aggressive flashing from Crystal. I mean, Crystal's the story right there. We didn't know what he had past Tristana and Sivir, and Draven was certainly not at the top of my list after that. So how do EDG shut him down here? They're going to keep banning the Tristana. Probably a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, we're straight into Champs League here, so let's go through it. Snake has swapped to the blue side. LeBlanc, not Aurelia there, 3 bans, and Janna, Tristana, and Lissandra, sorry, 3 from EDG, and Snake snap off that Rex side.
Absolutely no consideration whatsoever. They're happy to get it, of course. Clearlove showed so much pressure on that champion and showed off how strong a pick it is earlier in the LPL. So smart to snap it away from here. But how will Beast play out that Rek'Sai? It's hard to say.
Well, Beast is what played only Java Nunu so far, and he has looked pretty good on those champions. I feel like with a champion as strong as Rek'Sai, I mean, this is crazy. Like, he hasn't played Lee Sin. He's played Jarvan as far as top 3 junglers go, and that's it.
But it's worth noting, because of all the adaptation bans, specifically Aurelia and Tristana, EDG get quite the 2 picks coming out here. We see Azir and Jarvan are the picks there who are very strong together. They're very strong in team fights. They haven't lost out from picking this Rek'Sai, from having this Rek'Sai picked against them, but Kassadin, who somehow went through picks and bans. It's a good lane matchup against Azir. I wouldn't be surprised to see it here.
Yeah, and Bucko played fantastically in that last game as well. Credit to Pawn, his Azir looked fantastic. I felt like one of the best elements in that game 1 was actually Pawn's team fighting on that champion. So we'll see if he can adapt here. And Clearlove, he's already had a getaway Jarvan game this LPL where he's just gone nuts. If he can do it again, that goes a long way against a team like Snake.
And he's shown kind of different strings to his bow, has Clearlove, which is an impressive thing for a player who's been around for so long, over 2.5 years now. He's been rocking the jungle for First World Elite and now EDG. He did show a lot of power ganking in earlier series for EDG, so if he can show that again, he was 4-0 at one point, one of his earlier games in the LPL. If he can get his lane snowballing instead of the snowball that happened on him in the previous game, they have a chance in this game. But look at this depth, is considering that Ezreal might be interesting.
Well, we'll see here. We did have the Kassadin for Snake, though, and Thresh actually is going to go to Ella, and Ella has been another... I mean, Snake have just stood out generally as a team, but Ella's Thresh in particular, I think, is probably a highlight for him.
And in a competitive scene littered with great Thresh players, I mean, how often do we hear, oh, he's a fantastic Thresh player, he's one of the top Thresh players. So many superlatives come out for that champion. Ella has been really on point. He wasn't even required to play kind of that primary initiator or a strong disengage threat in the previous game. He played fine. It was more his vision that defined his play. This game he can play a champion with a bit more highlight reel potential and really show it's not the vision side of his game necessarily that really defines it.
Yeah, and you were right about one of the picks there for EDG as well. That's Ezreal, and the Braum is the bottom lane there for Eggwood Gaming. And we're going to see what Snake do as well, but I kind of like the bottom lane from EDG.
It's interesting to see the Braum lock in just because it's not like there was a load of hard engage coming out on Snake when that pick was picked up. There was the Rek'Sai who obviously get into melee range, Kassadin, medium range champion, but it wasn't like it was the Jarvan Rumble that we saw last time where a Braum disengage ultimate could be massive. They just kind of looked in maybe for the gank potential, maybe for the passive. It's hard to say why they've gone for such an early Braum pick, but obviously they're trying to keep their top lane options open.
Yeah, I mean, Koro's looked great in earlier series, and Flandre looked very strong there in his Rumble. He's going to have a different champion, though. Crystal actually is going to go with Caitlyn as his AD carry, and Xerath is presumably going to Bucko in the mid lane, which means Flandre is on a new champion, and it's Kassadin.
Yeah, defaulting onto the Caitlyn is Crystal here. The Kassadin top against Jax matchup. I have to be worried about whether Flandre will be able to exude enough pressure onto this Jax. I worry about the situation where Koro can kind of shrug off the Kassadin damage and just farm up, because in the late game it's kind of a crapshoot as to which champion there is going to be stronger. My first instinct will be Jax, but there's always potential where Kassadin's mobility can really be the key factor in a team fight.
And it's like another very high execution comp from Snake. We actually didn't really touch on that in the last game, but the comp they played with basically Rumble and a bunch of zoners with a Draven as their main carry, that's a really difficult comp to execute properly. And for the most part, with maybe a few strategical mistakes towards the middle of that game, they played exceptionally with Crystal's Draven.
It was basically a more risky version of the same comp with a Tristana, because with a Tristana, the guaranteed AoE damage was going to come in, you can go in and get those resets and reposition in fights. They didn't have that sort of option with the Draven. It was literally all about Crystal's positioning. The one time he was sort of flanking to the side, couldn't get the damage in, they couldn't win a fight. But once they sorted that problem out, it worked with the same sort of flavor. So they always kind of play around that Tristana pick. The Ezreal's a very different beast here, though, from Deft. And now having that Ezreal matchup will be very interesting for Crystal.
And the other thing for Flandre as well here is he's had 4 straight Rumble games until then. And I guess we're going to talk about it, guys. We'll be right back here with the second game between Snake and EDG. All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we've got the second game of our third match here, week 2, day 1 of the Chinese LPL. Snake are a game up here against EDG. They're on the blue side for this game, and Edward Gaming swapped over to the red side. They'll be down a game here, looking to at least make it a draw here, Papa, and make it 1-1. I'm
very interested to see which of the teams will be more decisive in level 1 to get the lane matchup they want. I'm not sure if Kassadin's going to be looking for a 1v2. I'm not sure he's going to opt into a 1v1. There's a lot of question marks, and that's why I'm not surprised to see the originally 5-man invasion game from EDG, trying to spot out the early laning here, because I think both teams will have a very specific plan of what they want out of these lane matchups.
We'll have to see. And my point before we cut away there with Flandre is he's had 4 straight Rumble games. And the first game of the whole... Oh, Pawn actually going to find Crystal. Just going to... Yep, a couple of taps here. Crystal actually might be forced to use a flash. No Net's over. But Clearlove's here as well. Cora's now joining a party. But Bucket's going to rotate in. A good stun there for Jax. The Brawl passive there. And first blood goes to Jax.
In a previous game, we talked about how when you have a 4-man invasion, your team can kind of go out there as a solo man and get a chance to get aggressive wards down. This is the first time we've seen a team pay for that. Now, smartly, Crystal didn't use any of his summoners there. He had to skill E at level 1, which isn't ideal. Can't start that lane push very early. The gold goes over to Jax, which hardly the ideal to pick it up. And look at this opening item star here. Not just a Doran Blade, but also all the regen here. And now you worry that Jax could really go off this game.
Yeah, but looks like the lane swap is actually going to be started here. So Snake, I guess, get the lane they want. Maybe I think they just guessed given the vision, although they can see Braum here with Def doing that Gromp. So maybe some premature vision here as well. Looks like they are just going to swap in against Jax and try and push him in early.
Opting into a 1v2 with Kassadin is very interesting to me here. Of course, on the blue side, they're the ones initiating the lane swap here. So opting into a 1v2 with Kassadin, a champion who, okay, can last it pretty well when his W's off cooldown and has some AoE tools if the enemy team spams spells. It's very interesting to me. I guess the one thing you can say is that perhaps Ezreal's not the best champion to snowball a lead in a 1v2 situation, but interesting.
And interestingly, as we look up towards the top lane, a very disciplined freeze here from Crystal and Ella.
It's a different flavor right here, just because with the amount of auto attack range that Caitlyn has, they're going to be able to free hit on Jax when he's under the turret trying to farm. So the freeze, it's something new for Chinese League Legends, obviously a very common thing in Global League of Legends, and they're trying to get this red buff steal.
Yeah, I like that Mouse was just sitting in the brush waiting to see if Beast Rexar was coming, kind of acting as a human ward there. Beast will actually find this red. Great Prey Seeker, maybe sniff this out. He does have his smite, he secures his own red buff, and that's key there for Beast.
He had no right to pick up that buff right there. Beast steals away his own red buff, which is a weird thing to say, but it's a massive win for how much map pressure EDG were exerting right there. And you noticed a bit of jungling being done by Jax. He had so much regen and so much early items that he was very easily able to use his spells to get through the jungle. So when this freeze does end, Jax is still looking fairly healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Jax also very rarely a jungle champion as well. Can actually fight those monsters fairly well. And now Flandre down the bottom actually with Beast. Going to get babysat. Little Ella, though, will come in. And we're going to have 1v1 with Caitlyn Jax and 2v2 with Ella Flandre versus Deft and Mouse.
Both Jax and Maokai have kind of interesting things they can do at level 1 in the jungle, specifically around the Raptor camp, whether it's around Counter-Strike or the Sapling Toss. So E abilities for both can be used to clear jungle camps. But when you have extra regen that you don't even have to, you know, that fills up when you back, and also the extra damage coming out of the Doran Blade, trivial for Jax to go and pick up some minions in the jungle.
Yep, and Koru even just had E level 1 because of the stun he had to use. So everything kind of working out nicely there with that lane swap, and Koru going to be very comfortable on the stacks. Even in CS, though, for those two top laners, or would-be top laners, if it weren't for the swap, And that was my question here coming through. Flandre playing all of those utility games, now on a very hard carry in Kassadin.
Yeah, on a very hard carry, but against one as well. And I kind of wonder, my big question is, what does this lane matchup look like when Koro and Kassadin finally have to 1v1 in the top lane, when they start splitting with teleport? That's the interesting factor to me, just because, I mean, Jax can get so scary with the Trinity Force, and of course it'll be very hard to lock down that Kassadin, but I don't know if he has the damage potential to really put any damage onto Koro. They're probably going to want Crystal to track Jax wherever he can, but eventually the game will reach a point where that's no longer a viable strategy.
Yeah, Beast, though, will sniff out a ward here with his Raptor Smite debuff there. Bucker actually a little low. Pawn again getting aggressive in his ends. In fact, Bucker has to be very careful, getting a little low, forced to use the heal there, and Pawn got a free summoner spell there.
That was just a bit of lazy laning coming out of Bucker there. There was no reason with Beast pressure they should have to do that, but oh dear,
He's actually
the Rek'Sai damage.
Yeah, heal does get used, and Beast doing so much work there. Pawn maybe getting cocky himself.
Yeah, it feels like 2 cocky moves, one from each mid laner, cost them every summoner but Xerath's Flash. But Clearlove, he's feeling something.
Beast really wants this here, but now Clearlove's going to come in, and Bucker is way too far extended. That's a great knock-up as well after the EQ flashing there, but Beast is actually going to go in, doing a decent amount of damage, and Clearlove cannot pull off the gank.
He deserved better with the fantastic EQ flash mechanics there to be able to get the knock-up. Not quite enough damage. It's a game of inches in this mid lane. Almost everyone has almost fallen down in the first 5 minutes here.
Yeah, and as is typical of Chinese League of Legends, Mouse is here as well in the mid lane. Help Pawn push, which is going to be nice, but he just wanted to try and get the kill. Deft out on mana, going to go back as well, which would open up maybe a bit more room for Flandre's Kassadin, who's slightly ahead of Jackson CS.
And you can see the difference in laning power between Ezreal and Caitlyn coming through here in the CS values. Kassadin, a champion you'd never really think has any position to pick up CS in a 1v2, is actually about 10 CS ahead of Jax, which is a massive win if you're Flandre.
Yeah, and Crystal has been playing very well and towards the top half of the map here, but with very few wards for himself, although he does actually have one there to maybe spot Clearlove coming in. Could be in trouble here with this gank, but Crystal is playing very safe in this top lane, almost laning like he would be in a safe top lane.
Has to be careful here, though. It's quite extended, and Clearlove, the EQ's available, no flash.
Yeah, he's going to go in Crystal. Oh, gets caught by netting, and that's not good. The smite does follow through, and Crystal actually flashes out. He will be safe for now, but Clearlove, another great gank.
Yeah, his ganking sense on Jarvan has been very impressive once the LPL split started right here. Does it again right here. Now Crystal has to play so much more defensive, of course. Has Ella now to give him a pseudo-escape.
Nice timing, actually, from Ella. Going to walk back and make this a 2v1 lane once again. We can see Beast getting a Rek'Sai ultimate down towards the bottom half of the map here. Flandre comfortable. He's going to be left in a 1v1 briefly here with Mouse. Although Deft and Clearlove now are coming down the bottom lane.
But Clearlove's actually paying for his aggressive play. We're tracking this ultimate.
Yeah, Koro, got to be careful. Crystal almost gets hooked. And there's Ella actually going to get the real hook there under Koro. There's Ignite coming in as well. That's going to force Jax to flash up. But Ace in the holes here. It's probably not enough damage, though. And Koro does get away safely.
Didn't quite have the mana to use that ability either there. So close to the mana to pick it up. Koro lives to fight another day. And one thing I wanted to comment on, Rek'Sai is actually 2.5 levels ahead of Clearlove. So while Clearlove's been very present on the map, Rek'Sai and his ultimate and the mobility it provides means that he's able to stay well ahead in terms of levels, which places them in a great stead for a Dragon fight when they finally swap Crystal back to bot.
Oh, Mouse in trouble as well. Beast going to flash forward. The Xerath bolt's going to just hit there. Need one more auto there coming in. Azir, though, will come through. Good ultimate there to keep him away, but Beast will get the kill onto Mouse with, I believe, the red buff.
No, it was the fade-away burrowed Q that picked up the snipe right there. Amazing.
Really nice stuff there as Bucker will return back to the mid lane now. Continue farming up and again falling slightly behind Pawn, but he's fine as Flandre is teleporting here. Really wanted that kill onto Clearlove, and Beast will force him back towards his turret.
Level 5 Flandre, by the way. He was really hoping that Wolf would die to grant him 6. It did, but no kill to back out, and Beast is just snowballing in terms of experience amazingly. And they're going to take this dragon here. They've rotated smartly Caitlyn back to the bottom lane. Isn't even going to matter in this case because Caitlyn's going to get to lane quite slowly, but Rek'Sai is going off, and this is why we've seen this champion so frequently banned, is that it doesn't really matter if it's a herbivore jungler, if it's a jungler who really likes to fight and gank. You can do both on Rek'Sai so comfortably.
The Beast does have his smite here, so does not secure the dragon. Death there, going to sneak it away with True Shot Barrage.
Feeling great is Death right here, level 7. He actually eased into a cupcake right there, so isn't able to get over the ridge, doesn't really matter. Able to walk back into lane. And all that we hyped up Beast so much there. losing the Dragon is a big thing for EDG.
Yeah, not sure how exactly those numbers play out, but Beast cannot have been far off from taking that Dragon, but a very well-timed ult there from Deft will steal the win. We're actually going to bring back into standard lanes now. Flandre has had time to power up. He's hit level 6. He's got his Catalyst. And this is a nice reset there for that top lane matchup.
It is a nice reset, and we're going to start getting a window into this Cassidy versus Jax 1v1 matchup. You have to give it to Jax because Phage and Dagger is so many more combat stats than just, of course, the regen coming out from that item pickup from Cassidy. So he's just going to try and power up, he's going to try and pick up that Rod of Ages unimpeded as much as possible, but I don't know how he's going to do that in a 1v1 situation against the Jax.
I think the same has to be true for the bottom lane 2v2 here for Snake as well. I mean, Crystal's build's a little greedier here with Pickaxe and an Avarice Blade. Actually, Blue Snipe will go off there as well by Bucket. Nice steal.
Everything's coming from downtown here, Pastry Time, with the snipes. You'd think it was a basketball game, how often they'd be able to take those out. The three-pointers are coming thick and fast. And nobody seems to be able to claim the buffs they start.
No one gets their own buffs there. And again, such a smart rotation from Snake, but they can't get the Dragon because of Dev's very sneaky ult. Flandre in the top, continues CSing it even with Jackson, just kind of slow pushing this, trying to get as much space as possible and just poking out Jax wherever he can. He's actually maxing his Q in this matchup.
It's worth coming back to the point you made about the greedy build coming out of Crystal here. It's very relevant just because a no combat stat tier into a Pickaxe should have no chance in a lane against a Caitlyn. Caitlyn naturally wins that lane matchup considerably, has the pushing advantage, has the dueling advantage, has the ultimate to follow, but Beast, he's going in.
He's going in deep. They're great. Pre-Seeker actually will hit there for the reveal. Korra can't quite get away. A great knock up there. The stun is coming, but Flandre waited very patiently for that, and that will get him a kill.
The kill granted over to Flandre. Excellent layering of CC. That range smite makes all the difference in these ganks. It gives Beast access to even more CC, and the snowball begins.
Yeah, I mean, Flandre, the one person I don't think EDG want to give too much to here. We've talked about it. He doesn't go full hard carry mode that often, at least in the LPL games we've seen. This is his chance to go back to, top lane carry god status.
And I'm sure the EDG camp had monitors on OMG and just how far off Going went in that earlier match, so they don't want to give Kasten any rope. Up top, we're seeing a fight.
Horn in trouble. Actually, Beast, never mind, in trouble. Too many friends as Clearlove almost goes down to the Rek'Sai damage. Xerath does snipe Clearlove, though. Finds Pawn as well to cancel it back, and Buck as Xerath is so good.
And my mind casts back to the last time we saw Buck as Xerath. This is the sort of play we can come to expect with him. He's on point with those snipes. Every skill shot that comes over about 2,000 range seems to be hitting in this game. And it's crazy.
Yeah, Ella now in the mid as well, just going to help Bucket with the push. Potentially a bit of pressure put on this turret in the mid, but they'll back off instead with Xerath probably wanting to go by. Rek'Sai will actually go towards the top lane to get a gank again for Flandre, and Korra has to be so careful. Flandre waiting fairly patiently here. Beast is here as well. He's speeding his way in. There's a knockout. The smite in there as well. And again, Flandre just waits for that stun. Actually gets stunned up. Flashes out though with the Rift Walk. Has to be careful. Turns around. The slow comes in. And Beast will get the kill.
A game of inches there. It was very smart for Beast to re-gank the lane. He donated double buffs to, of course, Rek'Sai's insane global mobility. Makes the difference there. Cassidy stays alive by the skin of his teeth. And that resets the top lane. What was looking like a terror top lane for Cassidy, having to deal with a double buff Jax. Finally got manageable. I'm going to see the replay here. I mean, it's a standard 2v1 situation, but Flandre baited excellent here. So far up the wave is Korra right there. There's no way he can really run to. He has to run away as much as possible. Of course, Beast has massive damage in a 1v1 situation, but Flandre opens up enough distance right here. He's one auto away. It looked deceptive, but he was one auto away from dying. Just managed to orb walk and stay alive.
Yeah, Flandre calculated that quite nicely. He actually auto-attacked Jax for a bit of extra damage, I believe, with the W active. I love that both times he's waited out the counter-strike, but he almost paid for it there when Leaf Strike came back off cooldown.
And the other point about waiting out is that he actually waited till he was in the brush before he activated the W and went for that auto. So there was no vision being granted of him as he went for that killing blow. This is what top laners do. That's the sort of plays they make.
Flandre's back, by the way, and Beast actually is going to go in. This might be a die, but they think a bit better of it. Flandre, though, about to collect gold from that top tower on Beast. We talk about him camping Flandre's lane. It hasn't happened that often, but he wants this Cassidy to get going.
Shades of the home guard teleport Irelia we saw in Game 1 against Gamty, where Flandre really burst onto the scene with excellent play right there. He just shows reckless abandon with that teleport. So many people are like, all right, I've got to always have it up for Dragon. He's like, well, maybe I can get a kill a minute before Dragon.
And you know what? I feel like Snake's overall play style and how well they control minion waves gives him the ability to do that with Flundra's teleport. He can afford to be reckless because his team always knows to play around when it's up and also when it's down.
And it's Crystal as well. They play around Crystal's cooldowns on Tristana. They play around his Draven play and the aggression he's going to show. This team is very in tune with each other, and it's a fairly new lineup with communication problem potential with the two Korean imported players. For them to show so much synergy so early is massive, and Pawn, he's dead.
Flundre surprised, he's here again. Pawn has popped his heal. The hook will go wide though, and Mouse is here. There's the last bolt hitting though from right of the arcane, but they can't get the kill. And Buck, very low as well, also survives.
I signed his death warrant too early. I saw 4 members, including the hyper-scaling mobile assassin in Cassidy, and I thought he was dead for sure, but smooth moves keeps him up. And look at this in the top lane. The answer is that Koro, you never want to leave a turret open to Jax.
No, Crystal actually same sort of deal in the bottom lane. Def will return though, and Ella's here as well to help with that push. 2 towers have already fallen on opposite sides of the map, and it seems that they'll be equalized by both teams here as well, with Jax taking top and Caitlyn taking bottom.
This is the absolute minimum we'd expect from this Caitlyn versus Ezreal matchup. The 10 CS lane matchup is lower than you'd expect. You'd probably hope for 20 or 30 for the Caitlyn player, but I think the opting into the Avarice Blade really slowed down the pressure on that turret. 15 minutes is a bit later than we expected, and for it to only be a turret trade when you have a Caitlyn advantage is not the best, but it looks like they can pick up a dragon at least to grow a bit of objective advantage.
They'll pick up their first one here. No Ezreal ultimate forthcoming this time. It's actually on cooldown there for Def, so Beast probably happy about that. Had everyone in the right spot there for that dragon, so another nice rotation. Just, I guess, a shame they couldn't pick up their first dragon because Def, he stole it.
It's a very aggressive ultimate coming out from Beast. He wasn't interested in seeing Clearlove steal away his blue buff, so they'll be able to claim that back again as we see Jarvan and Jax backing off. But this is kind of the worry I have, is that Jax's split push pressure is only going to get stronger, and I don't think it's a 1v1 situation where Cassidy will be able to hold him down.
No, I'm not too sure either. Flundre has kind of been unleashed here in this game. He finished his Rod of Ages about a minute and a half ago, so that timing's pretty nice around the 15-minute mark, and he'll just continue to get stronger here. Koro, though, does have his Trinity Force, and in general, EDG not too far behind here, only about 1,500 gold.
He has Trinity Force, he has a null magic mantle, and more importantly, he has teleport off. He didn't try and go for a sneaky kill on any of the other lanes, so he has that long cooldown teleport available. There isn't a dragon to make a play on, but this Jax showing up behind anyone and getting into melee range is going to be some kills.
And again, Crystal, we've seen how integral he is to Snake's team fighting. They're going to have to protect him in order to make these fights happen properly. And Flundre as well, he has to be careful. He can't go too far in. The engage this time for Snake is not as clear as it was in the last game, and the late game for EDG is stellar.
I was going to ask for a tab over the goal, but we do see finally the Infinity Edge pickup comes for Caitlyn. This is still a bit of the beginning of the Caitlyn power trough, sitting on just that Infinity Edge. No one ever questions a late game Caitlyn, just like no one ever questions a late game Tristana. But only having a 200 gold advantage over Ezreal is a significant factor here for EDG, because Ezreal's getting closer and closer to that Iceborne Golem or potential Trinity Force pickup next. He's only going to get stronger, and Caitlyn has about 2,000, 3,000 gold before she's really teamfight relevant again. Cassidon's in trouble.
Flundering in the top lane is in a whole host of trouble. Crystal cutting back does get that. And now Crystal could be in trouble. Mouse! Oh, deft. Another good Ezreal will snipe him, but Flundering wants to go back in here. The rest of Snake's ready to join. There's the Xerath ultimate. Great slow in there as well. And Flundering gets yet another kill.
These heat-seeking ultimates from Barca are opening up all sorts of plays. How many long-range skill shots have influenced fights right there? I have a sneaky suspicion that Mouse would have picked up that kill, but even better to pass it over to Deft.
Beast is going in again, maybe a bit too aggressive. Deft will trade in some damage as well. Good poke there coming through for him, doing work already with just the Shin and the Manamune. And EDG, they want this turret. Pawn is aggressively putting soldiers down to see if he can take it, but Snake will fend them off for now. Yeah,
a lot of wave clear from when the Caitlyn and a blue buff Xerath are involved. But of course, Caitlyn was away, as we see slightly wide as that Q coming out there as Deft takes another love tap and suddenly has no health whatsoever.
Yeah, no ult there for Barca, so Deft's safe for now. Although Flundre might get frisky if he really wants to get the kill. Deft will throw his ultimate out, as he, does now start to head back to base as well. We saw another cute little synergy there as well. We've got the Thresh and the Cassin, so Flundre, if he wants, can go real deep.
Absolutely, you can just riff walk in, take the Lantern out. We see that poke combination come out maybe when you're sieging around a inhibitor turret. It's risky. There's always that split-second chance that you'll get caught before you can click the Lantern, but it's that nice little synergy you're afforded.
Yeah, especially if you're predictable, you can run into trouble, but Flundre is getting things going here. His CS is actually quite low, at least compared to the other games we've seen him on. 125 or so at 90 minutes is not stellar, but he's ahead of Koro by quite a nice margin.
I mean, being 20 CS ahead of your lane matchup as Kassadin is instantly a great thing. It doesn't matter who you're laning against. It's a wonderful position to be in as Kassadin. Again, my only issue with Snake is who is going to split push against this Jax, because I'm not convinced that Koro is the right person. So that Flandre is the right person on that Kassadin.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, Snake have to force some issues here. And Dragon's not up yet. Baron's up at 20 minutes in about 20 seconds time, but that'll take a while to go as well. We have seen Beast be very aggressive with his ultimate and try and pick off Jax a lot, which is very important against split pushing, but they're going to chase him again here. Koro looks like he'll get away, though.
Very smart of Flandre to back off, noticing how much of the cavalry was coming through for EDG here. See some damage coming in. Good. Very low is Ella.
Yeah, nice block there by Mouse. Ella will have to back away, though. They're going to keep defending this mid turret if they can. But Clearlove's rotated as well. Crystal's actually in trouble now. Depth with some really nice poke coming out through on that Ezreal. Beast will try and force him back. Barker as well. Probably has some gold to spend here, but doing a nice amount of poke damage already. Him and Pawn trade back and forth, but Koro is still collecting CS as we go. No, not that much gold, actually. Although Flandre's got a big amount to spend. They pretty much need to see Large Rod if that's where he wants to go next. Yeah,
in this case, when you're sitting on so much gold, it's actually the one window when EDG really has a chance to push in this enemy team, just because Caitlyn and Xerath is instant wave clear 100% of the time with blue buff or having mana, or I mean any semblance of AP coming on the Xerath right here. Barker's sitting on gold, doesn't have blue buff, but he's able to abate the push and keep his turret alive.
And Flandre is at least taking some of this side lane farm as well. Deft will now come down towards the bottom and clean it up. Oop, never mind. Could have a standoff there actually as Crystal does take the red buff. Beast's going to come back. He wants to defend the mid lane turret again with the rest of his team. Flandre backing off though. Maybe have to teleport towards the top. Beast's going to clear out some wards as well. And Snake continue to defend this outer mid turret.
At the same time, Koro on that Jax. We see Caitlyn walking towards him. It's not going to be a lot of fun for Caitlyn if Jax gets on top of her. I mean, Koro's basically the big unknown this game. If Koro can keep alive, if EDG can ward smartly for a split push, I can't see anyone holding a candle to him in the top lane.
Flandre does have his need to see large rod though, so can maybe contend with Koro just a little bit more. He's got to be careful, but Jax is quite squishy when he has only his Trinity Force.
Let's see the first duel between those two here. You know this is going to be a damage trade right here.
Yep, Koro wants to go in. Flandre immediately walks out. It's not really much of a trade. Koro just gets free hits, but Flandre answering back here in the middle. Do have a team fight brewing as well. Just some poke being traded back and forth. Again, Bucker kind of versus the poke there. From a Z, Clearlove though, going to go in, and that's the instant teleports coming in as well. Pawn gets the first one to Ella. Koro dives in onto Crystal, and that Jax is going massive. Good stun there onto Bucker. And the damage has come through. That's 2 free kills there for EDG. The snipe does hit Clearlove though, so 2 for 1 now.
The team fighting positioning around that pink ward was massive for EDG there. They was able to get so much damage. Flandre goes aggressive. He's very low on mana, and you have to think he might get cleared out, but so much damage on Deft.
Crystal got to be careful as well. He's kiting back and forth. Pawn, though, look at the damage with the soldiers. There's a kill. There's a second kill as well as Deft takes it out. And as the trade-off falls through, 3 for 1 there for EDG.
In these extended fights, the amount of mobility and burst damage coming out of EDG is massive here. There's nothing Flandre can do. Kassadin's base damage has been nerfed enough times that he's really not going to get any bursts done. Yeah, he's looking for an extended fight, but an extended fight you're opting into against Jax, have fun with that.
Yeah, Beast again, maybe looking for an exit kill. Wants to defend this Dragon. I think they'll be able to get it here, actually. Deft has pulled it out, but he's quite low. Has to be careful. Great Pro Seeker there from Beast. Will spot Ezreal moving on. Ella now done as well. Deft is trying to defend. He's got good poke. He's got the Mana Mune and the Iceborne done. Plus a blue buff here, and Clearlove's here as well. They're going to at least try and take the Scuttle Crab.
And you look at the mini-map quickly before the action comes. There's a huge minion wave pushing in for where Jax has done so much work in the top lane right here. There is an equal blue push coming down in the bottom lane, but you'd have to think the side waves favor EDG. They've got double pinks down. They've definitely got vision secured around this dragon.
Yeah, and this is the second dragon for either team here. They've got 1 each so far. Double pink ward there for EDG as well. They've got plenty of vision over. Crystal's got to be careful. Does not quite have a static shiv yet, but does have a zeal, so going to add a decent amount of damage back in as well. And other than that, Beast is building up towards his Randuins. And I think EDG, it's kind of poke v poke here. The mid laners here are both very good at zoning.
Deft was able to go to bottom lane quickly and push out that wave, so it is definitely a minion wave advantage for EDG. You have to think they're going to be able to secure this dragon here, but we might see a fight.
A good knock up there by Beast. Actually sort of dueling Koro a little bit, but the Jax is very scary. Still a bit squishy, but the Giant's Belt goes a long way as well as that null magic mantle and the ninja tabi. And again, we're going to have a poke war here. Pawn aggressively positioning his soldiers. Baka trying to get in position to use that ultimate, but he's still sitting on the same items I saw him a couple minutes ago. He's not spent gold yet.
No, he hasn't had any big gold purchases whatsoever. He's starting to actually fall off a little bit in terms of relevant damage. Maybe going to be a Void Staff pickup here, hard to say. But it looks like EDG have started the Dragon.
Beast is going in aggressively. He wants to try and steal the Dragon. Clearlove, though, gets it away already, and Beast could be in trouble. He does Lantern out there, and they're poking over the top now as well. Koro looking to get sniped off. So many good skill shots. Can't quite get the last one, and Death gets caught up there. He's got to be careful, and Ella gets that kill with the help of Flandre. Pawn, though, does pick up Crystal, so both AD carries dead. Flandre gets the next kill there. Now Clearlove in trouble. Almost gets knocked up there through the EQ, and 2 for 1 there for Snake, but EDG did get the Dragon.
Both AD carries were caught in no man's land and assassinated very early into that fight, and that suits a Kassadin absolutely. Jack's not able to stay in this fight. Philandro did some excellent cleanup work, which of course is what we know Kassadin to do. He's got the home guards as well, so we can expect the home guard teleports coming out in about 2 minutes time. Yeah,
and an important tower here as well for Snake. They take out their mid turret now, EDG's mid turret. Get themselves a bit of extra gold. They're kind of back into the goldie now. It's been super back and forth between these two teams, but about 1,000 gold ahead for Snake. 3 turrets each here, a bevy of kills on both sides, but maybe most importantly, EDG are 2-1 up in Dragons.
In team fights, we're going to have to really track the play of Baka. We've already said, look, he's got those skill shots down pat. He's probably got quite a bit of gold to trade on, but his big issue is here, I mean, Xerath loves sitting at 1,000+ range and sniping people. He has to contend with a Jax with plenty of mobility and ability to get on top of him and stun him. Jarvan is always seen as the standard counter to a Xerath pick just because he's able to close so much distance and lock him down. Azir can close distance, Braum can get a flash ultimate off. It's very hard for Baka to navigate these fights correctly, especially in an open space. They kind of need a vision advantage and to fight in a jungle where he can kind of freely use his spells on the short cooldowns, or he's really going to struggle in a long, drawn-out fight.
And we mentioned it in the draft as well. This is a one-tank lineup for Snake, and it's very execution-heavy. A lot like their Game 1 comp, but the difference here, they don't have nearly the same amount of snowball here. And again, Flandre, he's been put on a carry champion. Can he carry from this point? I mean, there's plenty of good options here for Snake, but the team fights are very difficult to play properly.
It hasn't been the Crystal Show this time, of course. Still farming away. He's kept the Everspade for, what, 20 minutes or so at this point? Maybe at least 15. So definitely be adding up to quite a lot of gold here. But he's in between 2 items that round out Caitlyn's late-game power spike. But until they're finished, it's going to struggle to be relevant compared to the huge blue Ezreal we see coming out of Deft here. Since we last looked at his build, Iceborne Gauntlet, Muramana Transform is completed, and the Bloodthirster. So much poke damage coming out here, and over an extended team fight, he's got double buffs right now, at least the blue buff, can't really tell with the particles of the red buff. So much damage and mobility coming out from this Ezreal.
Yeah, and Beast has to be careful now as well. Korra going to chase in. Oh, great smite there from Beast, slows him down enough. He actually wants to go back in, but that might not be what he wants to go. Tunnels out though, 2 members coming through. Mouse actually going to go in, he dodges the, oh, that's an amazing lantern by Ella. Now Baka coming through for the poke, and Flandre's in as well. He's going deep in, they get a 5-man force pulse. Good Zonni's there as well, dodges the ulti there from Pawn as he throws it out, and now they're going to try and snipe it. There's 1 kill as Clearlove goes in onto Beast. Koro gets that next one as well, but Baka kiting back and forth. Ella in trouble now, Flandre kiting back in as well. Now Def could be in trouble, he's taking damage here for Crystal, but great kiting in there as well. Baka can't 2v1 here, and there's the S coming through. 5 for 3 there in favor of EDG.
Over the extended fight, it's Def that cleans it up. He has so much damage right now, and although Caitlyn has the tools to be so close to her power spike, doesn't quite have it right now. It just wasn't putting out the same damage as this blue Ezreal here, and the mobility of both Azir and Ezreal is what carried them through that fight. It was a long, extended one. In the replay, I'll have to shout out Clearlove's play here. We'll watch Clearlove when he comes in. But to start off the fight, Beast, he's just trying to buy time for Crystal to run. He knows he has the burrow to be able to move away. The flash ultimate from Mouse is good, but the Lantern is unbelievable from Ella. The re-engage from Flandre, he has Zhonya's, he is able to go in. And this is when we see Xerath start to open, and that's when everything comes. The engage from Clearlove is massive. There's 3 people here, and at the back, look who's got full health. It's Def. He's so strong in the back. There's nothing that Baka can do with his longer cooldowns, with lack of a tank line in front of him. An excellent play from Deft. That's what you expect when you pick up Deft onto your team. It's that late-game teamfight carry.
And to be honest, that teamfight was played in that situation almost as perfectly as Snake could have asked for. But that Caitlyn power trough must have felt awful, because if Crystal did any more damage, now picked up a last Whisper for himself, that might have been a different fight.
And the one tank comp one tank situation coming out from Snake here really showed through, as it was Beast that took a lot of the poke damage at the start of that fight, and he wasn't able to be a relevant team fighter at the start there. And that's when Xerath had to worry about his positioning, as he had no tank wall in front of him. Kassadin Rift walked in and then was kind of caught in no man's land. They need Crystal to get these items and get them quick, specifically the Static Shiv as we look there. 700 or so gold being picked up from that Avarice Blade, which is disgusting really if you think about it.
Crystal, so greedy. Just so greedy.
He's an income banker right here.
He is. He just finally finished the Static Shiv. Basically pays at least for the recipe and a little bit more as well after all the Avarice Blade money that he got. EDG, they're actually on top of Baron. Beast looking in there, maybe trying to smite it away. It's getting low. He's got to be careful. But Finder's in the back as well. He picks up Mouth. The Baron actually regenerating. Ella's back in there, but Pawn picks up the kill and ults him out as well. Now Baka being chased away. Look, that damage they're coming through. But Crystal does go down. Def goes down as well there with a great stun from Baka. And Beats is coming back clear. He wants to steal it. He does get the Baron, but he will go down.
His dying wish is to claim the Baron. He does get it, so he's able to take that away. If they had given up Baron there, they would have lost their inhibitor just because of the power coming out of the minions right here. So they lose the minimum, but that is the risk of taking Baron sneakily against a team with a Xerath. With that magic resist shred, those Qs from Baka were doing ungodly damage. Even Flandre on Kassadin was doing very respectable damage right here. They're able to take an inner turret. They weren't able to take an inhibitor turret, but they're starting to get a lot of extra vision around the map.
Yeah, the 3-item power spike really coming up big there for Snake. Beats is going to get this tower and be able to ult down to the Dragon as well. So a lot of objectives being picked up here for Snake very quickly. And that was, again, another beautifully played team fight. This time, though, it's on Snake's side.
Well, the difference in power between all the recipe items of the Static Shiv and the Last Whisper to completing those items is massive, and that was on display right there. Crystal got to the fight late, but was still doing very strong damage once she centered. If they were truly grouped, if Crystal was there when they were half health because of Baron, it would have been a clean ace and a free Baron. But of course, with that positioning, they'll just have to take the kills.
And this game, in some ways, is sort of developing into Baka and Flandre, sorry, versus Def and Pawn. It's kind of funny. It's the two Chinese solo lane players here up against their Korean counterparts.
I won't discount Koro just yet. He's only 3-5-5, but he's getting closer and closer to that random. He's getting very, very tanky. And Jax, you know, once he hits level 16, he's 15 at the moment, has access to so many free defensive stats and just so much damage if he's able to stick to a target that he's going to be a massive factor in these fights. But for now, it's definitely been Flandre who's been edging ahead in terms of team fight importance. Very
fair, and I think maybe we can say the same thing about Crystal. Now, obviously a very different role there coming up for Caitlyn, but Crystal's only getting stronger from this point, and Blue Residual's fine, but as far as raw damage output goes and consistent right-click DPS, Crystal probably has the market cornered.
It's one of those situations where Crystal will hit 6 items a lot later than Deft. Deft is very close to 6 items already. He has a ward slot right now. He'll pick up a last item. We'll wait and see, maybe a defensive item coming out there, maybe more damage, but it's hard to say. Probably a Blade of the Ruined King, I guess, if I think about it. And that'll be it. That'll be in the next, what, 5-10 minutes? Crystal's just going to get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. And Caitlyn's often won't even opt into a defensive item just because of how much range and how naturally safe a champion she is in the late game once all her cooldowns get really short. So I do agree with you there. But the question is, can they deal with a 6-item depth in 2 minutes compared to 20 minutes time when we see the Caitlyn really coming in?
We'll see. I think Bloodthirster, which I'm assuming is Crystal's next item, does a lot of work both on offense and defense for such a long-range carry like Caitlyn. So we'll see. Crystal is just cleaning minion waves out of the map right now, pushing the side waves out, letting Snake get a bit more control. And these big buffs are going to reset in a couple minutes. Baron should be up relatively shortly. Dragon in a few more minutes here. I believe it's 2-2 now for Dragons as well, so we couldn't have asked for a closer second game.
And with the carry situation we've been discussing, we'd expect that EDG will be the team on the front foot here, recognizing just how strong their Ezreal is and just how close Caitlyn is from getting unmanageable. So they really need to get these aggressive wards in. They haven't had any on the map. It's a bit deceptive because you see all the pink tunnels coming through. But they really need to get aggressive wards down, start pressing the advantage they have right now. But then they start eating poke from Baka, and that poke is sticking.
Yeah, I like the tower being put down here by Pawn though as well. Going to give themselves a bit more room here to pressure these turrets and try and take more structures. That's actually the biggest difference here. That last fight gave Snake 2 turrets, I believe, and EDG still only have the outer ring down.
So I see Flandre actually just went and completed his Zonia's Hourglass, I believe, there.
Rabadon's, I think.
Rabadon's Death Cap, sorry, you're correct there. So he has a nice burst of damage coming out. No magic resist whatsoever being built on EDG. No need to rush that Void Staff there. He's able to meet this wave that Jax has pushed in. They take down the Azir turret, obviously not a massive turret destruction. The scoreboard's going to be a bit deceptive when it comes to turrets. We'll have to look at the mini-map to get the full information there. But now we're going to see it, the true test of bottom lane, the Kassadin versus Jax matchup.
Yeah, Flandre is here. He's actually only level 15, although he'll be 16 very shortly.
I'm going to guess he's going to play a very hands-off approach until the minion wave crashes in.
Yeah, he's just going to clear these out. Yeah, just waiting, hanging out, and he'll slap them away. Koro doing the same to the enemy Krugs. He'll steal those. And Jax is pretty scary. We kind of look down and he's got 2 defensive items and a Trinity Force.
I mean, his damage relevancy is not gated by items. Just with that Trinity Force, the burst of damage you're able to do every 3 seconds or so with Empower are massive. I mean, he's just so tanky that he's just going to be tickled by Kassadin. I mean, there's no way for Kassadin to force him out of lane. Okay, Kassadin can clear waves, but no 1v1 pressure whatsoever from Kassadin on a Jax.
Yeah, and Barker as well has had a great score this game. Picking up kind of a curious 4th item there. He's actually got a Haunting, guys.
I mean, the extra flat magic pen is massive for the amount of gold you invest into it. So if you're talking about, 1485 gold worth of value, he's getting massive value from it right now. If there was an Aegis completed on the side of EDG, then it'll be less useful, but he's so close to doing true damage to multiple people here. I think it's a very worthwhile pickup.
Good block there by Mouse as well. Attempted poke there from Crystal with the Caitlyn ultimate. Doesn't really do too much right now, so why not use it? But Mouse will block that away. And Brom is actually very tanky as well as this next Dragon. We'll be back in a minute 20. Baron about 10 seconds after that as well. And Snake doing their sidewave manipulation. Think Flandre down the bottom, running interference with Koro. This could get hairy swiftly as the big buffs do respawn.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the top wave here. It seems to be just about pushing in terms of EDG, but of course this ultimate will completely change that. So it's definitely going to be sidewave pushing in power of EDG. Felt a bit of Ziggs flavor there with the ultimate flying across the map. And it's Kassadin here. He's going to be able to do a valiant effort, but once EDG converge, it's going to be a free turret.
Yeah, Rek'Sai just rotating down, using the ulti to cover about a quarter of the map, but that turret melts there under EDG's damage. Deft and Pawn between Azir and Ezreal. If they're allowed to free hit turrets, especially with Jarvan attack speed, they do not last long.
So much like last game, it's a minute till the 2 big neutral objectives come into play here. 48 seconds for Baron, 33 seconds for Dragon coming here. I feel like whoever gets ascendancy over these objectives are really going to be the winner as we close this game out. And whether Beast can really be that solo tank for the team. We've seen a lot of damage Rek'Sai. It's actually the first full tank Rek'Sai we've really seen.
Yep. Jack's down there as well. Got a bit more room to pressure Flandre in as well, kind of back him into a corner. Crystal does have another BF sword as well, so Bloodthirster is almost completed there to make that a 4-item Caitlyn, but Koro's rotating and Baka going to try and poke him off. Not quite level 16 there, Xerath, especially with those pinpoint ultimates, going to want that, but EDG are starting to take control of this bottom half of the map.
Yeah, we said they needed to get that advanced vision in there and abuse the power spike that Deft's currently going for. They're doing that very well here. Baka's using his ultimate, and probably for vision more so than anything. Not realistically going to be able to snipe away the Dragon here. But look at this trade.
Running to Baron here, and that's 3rd Dragon for 1st Baron potentially. If Snake can finish it, they're 3-manning it right now. Baka kind of knows, like, I can't really do anything. And Kassadin actually will start teleporting early. Jax does have his teleport, but Flandre's going to come and he's going to try and help his team take the Baron, and they do secure it. But Mouse now getting low. He gets chunked out so hard there with that damage. But Def going to come in. Beast trying to run in there as well. Clearlove in the back is going onto Crystal. Koro does get that kill, though, and that's so important. Now Flandre going to try and cut away. He's zoned out Def and Mouse. Beast a little low as well. Clearlove dives in, but Crystal does get the kill. He's still dead, but somehow gets it. Now Baka being aggressed on by Koro, who's so tanky. He does chase out, gets 1 kill, but 4 kills already down. Snake somehow winning this fight. Koro is trying to make a difference, but there's the ace. 5 for 2 in favor of Snake.
It is unbelievable how long Baka lived once Jax jumped on top of him there. Excellent use of flash, excellent peel from his team. He would eventually fall just because that's how Jax is. He's a very sticky man. But winning that team fight there and picking up the Baron, and this game's turned completely on its head.
And that was one that I would like to replay on 2 different screens in about quarter speed, because what happened there was insane. Snake just made a really awkward situation with another aggressive teleport by Flandre into a beautiful ace.
I'm sure we'll get a replay coming through soon. I'm going to probably focus on Baka just to see how much he did so much damage there, because once Crystal got taken out of that fight, I thought for sure it was going to be a team fight win for EDG, and for it to go the way it did, amazing.
Really was. There's Beast going to do a bit of counter jungling. The best thing, though, for EDG, they lost, I think, no structures, maybe a tier 2 turret in that exchange, so couldn't quite get anything else done, could Snake, but they now give themselves an opportunity to get very aggressive with the sidewave push.
They still have those 2 Baron buffs up on their teams. They still do have if they could really focus on one lane, they can still push that in very hard. They lose the ability to push in multiple lanes at the same time, but they still do have a Baron buff to trade on.
Combat stats there as well coming through for the Baron. And of course, that gold quite handy there. And Snake actually have a pretty good lead here of about 4,000 gold. And as we do have a pause here, I definitely want to slow it down because these two teams have just been going at it in both of these games. But one of our big questions, Papa, sort of moving in, thinking about Snake as a team, especially playing against a team of the caliber of EDG, was what are they like when they're behind?
That's kind of the question we've been looking to answer through the course of this series. And they're certainly not outclassed. They certainly have ways of getting back into the game. They do that decisive Baron in this game, much the same flavor that World Elite did it. Sorry, that EDG did it in the previous game. They're very competitive. They have a lot of interesting things. I mean, the big thing for me here is the Jax. We finally saw what an unchecked Jax can do in a team fight, and he ripped the team apart. It wasn't quite enough to take the team fight win, but it's still a big question mark as we continue on in this game.
Yeah, we are going to be back here. Baron still ticking on a few members here of Snake. And again, with their gold lead, they're going to see if they can make it happen. EDG, by the way, playing fantastically from behind and have basically been behind all game, but we're getting very late in this one. Almost 40 minutes have elapsed between these two teams, and not entirely sure if there's a compositional advantage, but these fights, all of them have just been absolute slugfests.
And it's at the point where I'm actually not sure where we're at in terms of Dragon. I believe 2 stacks on the side of Snake. I'll wait till we see something from the EDG side, but I imagine it's all tied up or very, very close. 3-2 perhaps is the lead that EDG is showing right here, which, I mean, it's all tied up, pastry time.
Yeah, I mean, they just traded Dragon for Baron, so EDG are one up, but, you know, it wasn't a 4th or a big clutch 5th Dragon, so, I mean, objectives are going late here. The first Dragon must have been taken relatively late. It's hard to remember with all the craziness that's happened here. The Baron up minions. I love the Azir turret, by the way, just sort of buying time and wasting Baron buff pressure.
And we see Rek'Sai is actually the person that chooses to split up the top lane. Just because he has so many tunnels around the mid lane area, he knows that he can group with his ultimate at any time. It's something that we've seen World Elite mix around with the split push coming out from the jungler, but in this case, with the global, actually makes a lot of sense.
It does. And then Beast can't contend with Koro 1v1. Oh, Def gets grabbed though by Ella. That's an amazing hook. The GA though will keep him alive for now. Rek'Sai's coming in right in the middle of this fight. Clear jumps up Crystal's pawn around the back. He's actually fighting Fundro, who's on it. That's a beautifully, no, not quite timed enough, but Mouth does get the kill there on Cassidy. No, Clear diving in, but Crystal, Ella, and Barker are doing so well here. And Beast has tanked so much damage. He tunnels out there as well. Is he going to go down? That's 2 for 1 there. Now Def going to go through. Barker gets the kill into Def with a snipe, and Mouse, run buddy. Crystal is chasing you down. Does stand behind me onto its Korra. Gets out, but 3-1 there in favor of Snake.
Just a heroic engage coming out to Def there. Dice through his Guardian Angel overtime. But look on the other side, Crystal free hitting the whole time. He's got that bloodthirst. It's the late game Caitlyn that we all worry about. Much the same flavor as the Tristana we've seen from him so many times before. And they're going to get objectives here. The question is just how many.
And for a 1-tank comp here, Flandre is doing a beautiful bruiser impression on this Kassadin. This inhibitor turret is not long for this world. This inhibitor likely falling as well. And Snake are opening up even more of this game for themselves. Koro looks so scary, and they're actually going to go for more here, it looks like. That might be a bit too much. The minions are there. There's no Baron buff left. They do get 1. Can they get the second? There's not enough left for EDG. And that's 2 towers and inhibs there for Snake.
Crucially, still 5 seconds for any semblance of ranged wave clear coming out from EDG. It's just Azir and Ezreal popping up right now. The Ezreal ultimate from downtown would have been enough for a bit of wave clear, but with no wave clear whatsoever, they were able to pick up 2 inhibitors and swing the game firmly in their advantage.
Yeah, after that, another stellar team fight there with Flandre and Beast zoning so impeccably. A great tunnel there for Rek'Sai, using that global ultimate to get back into the fight. Flandre zoning up both of the carries, and Deft, a great hook from Ella to start that all off. Snake don't have that many options, it feels like, when it comes to engagements, but when they pick them, boy, do they pick them well.
And it's almost never Deft that's the one caught in a late game team fight. He's well known for his positioning. He's always said, look, he's not the best laner. He's still a very competitive laner, but that's not his strong. It's all about the late game team fight. To die through your Guardian Angel as Ezreal in a late game team fight, that's a head scratcher.
And we know that Thresh is a very valued pick in China. Ella showing off a little bit why that is. And Snake, again, have put themselves in probably the best position to win this game based on their comp. They're 6,000 gold ahead. There's 2 inhibs down, and Dragon is going to be a much easier. And the next objective, where they want to pressure, is important. I think for me, if Snake are going to actually 2-0 EDG, which is probably the reverse of the result we thought we were going to get coming into this, they must close this game strong. Because EDG, despite the deficit, still have a chance to win.
And that's what they showed in the previous series, where it looked like they had no way of getting back into the game, and then they went for that really aggressive push into the no inhibitor turret, top inhibitor, and try and pick it up and get a bit of pressure going. They're happy to take small chances and make those decisive plays. That's the advantage of having experienced players like Clearlove to make those big calls to try and grind out a victory. It's looking very difficult with 2 inhibitors down, though.
And talk about aggressive play, just decisive play, sorry. Decisive and aggressive might be the best way to describe the way Snake plays. Flandre especially, when it's go time, he is just already home guard teleporting in there from wherever he ends up. As we are back into this game, dragging up in a minute here, and Snake are looking to close out an incredible upset here in the second week of the LPL. And it would be an upset here, Papa.
And this is the kind of implied power trough we see as we see going back. Caitlyn finishes her Banshee Veil. Now she's 6 item to match Ezreal's 6 item. In terms of right-click damage, it's not even a contest, not even the same league. Crystal will be doing massive damage on this Caitlyn.
And you know, we talk about Crystal and his propensity for hypercarries. Caitlyn here ascended into that hypercarry status now. This dragon is going to go real quickly here once it spawns back up. And Baron's going to be up about 1 minute 15 after that. Rek'Sai already ulting down the bottom. Going to look to get the waves pushed as well.
Trying to track that Rek'Sai is always very, very amusing, so thank you to the cameraman there. I mean, the main issue Deft has here, he's got 2.5 minutes plus for his Guardian Angel to respawn, and they really can't take a fight before that comes down, just because those resists, while they're nice, it's going to be the difference between him getting assassinated by Kassadin instantly and Jax finding the time to get on top of this Caitlyn.
Yeah, Barker has another needlessly large rod as well, so finally going to build a zone. Is actually the fight will start it. Clearlove going to go in. Ella kind of zoning him out. A great box there in the choke box. Crystal though getting poked out. He has to be careful, but Barker's running back and forth. Flandre just running interference in the back on the depth pawn. He's going to go down soon here, but Cora jumps on the Flandre. Reflux out. Barker gets the first kill. Beast is still alive and tanking all of them, and Beast solos out depth after Flandre goes in. Cora gets grabbed out of the air by Thresh, and Snake are looking to win this game.
Ella is just insane with these Thresh hooks. And how is Beast still alive? He's still fighting. He managed to assassinate Deft. He's not going to stop. And this is going to be the 2-0 that nobody picked.
No doubt left, I think, now. EDG get defeated by Snake 2-0. There's the 4th kill there for Snake, and this game is over. And what an incredible way to win against a team like EDG. Who is the late game team now?
It has to be Snake. No one would have picked it. And Ella, my goodness,